Welcome Druid lovers, I got fantastic news. Pulverize is not only back, it's also the best Druid build in Season 9. And it has a very interesting gameplay loop, because you're not simply pulverizing, smashing the ground. No, you're creating poison puddles while pulverizing that, as you pulverize close to them, spew out poison droplets, and these will guarantee overpower and do hundreds of billions of damage. This character is 10 hours old, clearing pit 90, speed farming pit 85 in 3 minutes, and dominating the Ubers left, right, and center. And the very best part about Pulverize Druid, you start at level 1 with Pulverize, and you end at level wherever you want to go Paragon-wise with Pulverize. You don't have to stop playing it. And don't you worry about your spirit, because it's infinite, with Gift of the Stag, giving you 10 spirit per second, and the Arcana called Reactive Ooze, which says invoking your Catalyst grants 20% maximum resource generation per second for the next 10 seconds. With my current equipment, that leads to 59 spirit per second being restored, which has me just simply hold down that button and never run out of spirit, while the Quickshift Rune in between gives me 100% bonus damage, leading to crazy values. Now, who's the star of the show? And that would be our friend the Rotting Lightbringer. It says, if no puddle is around you, Pulverize forms a puddle that guaranteed its own overpower and deals 600% of its normal damage as poison over 7 seconds. That guaranteed overpower sounds a bit weird, because damage over time can't overpower. But what can overpower? Pulverizing causes all closed puddles to splash 60% of their total damage within the areas and around them. That part always overpowers. Now the keyword close means melee range, so I poison puddle, then walk, poison puddle, poison puddle, poison puddle, poison puddle, poison puddle. So I need to keep walking around as I make poison puddles. And then you see these poison puddles spew out the poison. So if I now walk around a target and keep making poison puddles around the target, then all these poison puddles keep spewing out their poison blibs that will hit the opponent and severely damage them with a billion super billions of overpowers. And why does the damage go so high? That's because the 600% multiplier. I will do a super heavily overpowered Pulverize that then leads to a super 600% boosted poison puddle, which then goes for 60% of all the total damage it would have dealt. So if I already do a Pulverize that has massive damage inside that puddle, if my normal Pulverize did 100 million damage or even a billion damage, but that gets then 600% bonus, the total damage is massive and then gets splashed outwards. And that's not even all of it, because the Rotting Lightbringer has chance for Pulverize to hit twice. So if I have a puddle and my Pulverize can hit twice, then it will double puddle go outwards to make even more puddle splashes. And because of the way how the puddles work, you have a very intriguing gameplay loop, because you activate Grizzly Rage, your ultimate, you're permanently unstoppable, you permanently get Fortify, you're just a beast. In between, you Debilitating Roar, you get 25% more damage because you use the Roar. And then you just walk forward, slam the ground, and everything behind you that's in your puddles still gets hit by the poison out of the puddles. So you're just slam walk, slam walk, slam walk, slam walk, and everything around you just keels over and dies. And if you have something that's a bit more sturdy, you pretty much slam walk in a circle around them, pulverize, 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 until they succumb to your poison. One very important thing before you cast Grizzly Rage, we have Quickshift. Shapeshifting into a new animal form grants 3% increased damage up to 18%. This bonus is lost after 3 seconds in human form. You can't shapeshift anymore in Grizzly Rage because you're a permanent bear. So we're going to do Ravens, Pulverize, Cyclone Armor, Pulverize, and then Grizzly Rage. This now has our Quickshift active to a degree, and then we'll keep it active as we're in bear form permanently. This bonus doesn't get lost while we're in Grizzly Rage. So it's now saved, it's snapshotted into the bear form, and we'll just have it permanently active until we get back to human form, which we never do during the duration of the dungeon, because we have the same Grizzly Rage cooldown as we have the duration Fantastic. Now, how do we get the most pulverized ranks for the most damage? And most importantly, damage reduction, so we actually stay alive. First 2 points into Maul and Enhanced Maul, then everything into Pulverize, and the Enhanced every 10 seconds Pulverize is guaranteed to overpower and make enemies take 20% more damage. Cool. Together with 8 ranks in Iron Fur with an equipment piece for 32% damage reduction while in Werebear form. Yes, we love that. We put 1 single point into Cyclone Armor, that we can do the Cyclone Armor thing, and then we get the Debilitating Roar with a 25% bonus damage. We do not put points into Backlash, as that would give us bonus damage for 5 seconds after casting a defensive skill, but the Roar has a huge cooldown, so we're not really getting to cast that as much as. Not really worth it to put points into Backlash. We also have Ancestral Fortitude, but we don't put points into Vigilance. Again, those 6 seconds, we're not really casting the Roar every 6 seconds, so that damage reduction is useless. Then we get Feral Aptitude for more increased damage while healthy and bonus increased damage with above 100% movement speed. Good, we get that checked out. And we're currently playing the Ravens with 2 bonus Ravens. That's because of a rune. I'll explain in the equipment section. We get 1 point into Trample, as we just want to have one kind of travel skill. 2 points with Mending, and then Provocation is now down to 10 seconds instead of 12 seconds. And since we poison everything, we have Envenom 7 ranks for 70% bonus critical strike damage against poison enemies. And also Toxic Claws, you deal increased poison damage. This is double while in Werewolf form. We are never in Werewolf form, but we still do 15% increased poison damage, so we'll take that. Down here, we actually put 3 points into Circle of Life to stay alive. And it just works very well. I did not put points into Resonance, as that would be just a simple 6% bonus damage, and we don't really do Earth Storm skill mixes, so it's not really being tripled in any capacity. Get the most points into Grizzly Rage, together with the Urzen Strength. And we actually work on increasing the Urzen Strength bonus, because that gives you so much more damage. That would be the Quickshift again, together with the Heightened Senses for that super damage reduction. Now to your gear, and there's also a Mythic Variant. First, you want the Rotten Lightbringer, optimally with 600% bonus, that's the most important one. Then chance for Pulverize to it twice, second important one. And final would be the Willpower as a greater affix. You also want to temper that Pulverize hit chance at least twice, 3 times would actually be better. The Rotten Lightbringer drops from Uravar or Varshan. Varshan seemed to drop it better, I tested that on Belial. We also grab ourselves the Insatiable Fury from Gregoire the Galvanic Saint, because it gives us the 5 ranks to Iron Fur. That would be the bonus damage reduction. And then we're also getting the 5 ranks to our Werebear skills. And Pulverize is a Werebear skill. Keep in mind that every rank of Pulverize is a huge damage bonus. I mean, that's 15% bonus damage for 1 rank. And all that bonus damage is being then multiplied up by another 600%. The Insatiable Fury also has the Urzen Strength bonus, and you want that as your greater affix. As our helmet, we got Vasili's Prayer, also dropping from Varshan and Uravar for the bonus willpower percentage, and then we also have the 4 ranks into defensive posture, and Earth skills are fortifying us. Pulverize is also an Earth skill in our build, and with the defensive posture, you would get another 12% damage reduction. Last unique would be T-Bolt's Will. That has maximum resource. Maximum resource is very important for the Quox rune. Damage reduction while unstoppable. Max life all stats. All stats is always good to, in the Paragon board, activate all the rare nodes. And we deal another 20% increased damage while unstoppable. As we actually have Grizzly Rage permanently online, we are always unstoppable. But how do we scale the damage further? You want gloves with Pulverize ranks. I got 5. If it was a greater affix, this would be 7. Then attack speed. Attack speed is absolutely mandatory, with the Pulverize size and then overpowered damage. Also, your core skills deal up to 73% increased damage based on the amount of Fortify. If you're fortified, you deal the maximum amount of bonus damage. On my boots, I'm rocking armor and then Spirit per second. Spirit per second is so needed because it allows you, with the Arcana, Reactive Ooze, and then also the Gift of the Stack, to multiply your spirit so much upwards that you really never run out of spirit. With the aspect of the Urzen Horror, is Pulverize also an Earth skill, and if it overpowers, your Earth skill cooldowns are reduced. The second part we don't need, but we need Pulverize to be an Earth skill. So it profits from Crushing Earth with another 15% bonus damage, and from Stone Guard with another 12% bonus damage. On the amulet, we got Rabid Bear, While Grizzly Rage is active, your direct damage is converted into poison damage. You deal 120% more poison damage and you passively spread rabies. That's very important as, well, the Poison Puddles is also poison damage. And if we do more poison damage, that's actually pretty amazing because then the Poison Puddle is also even more effective. And then as we pulverize and the poison is overpowering, then yay. That works super good. I'm also looking for a greater affix to willpower and envenom. Envenom in this case gave you that bonus critical strike damage. With the Grizzly Rage cooldown reduction and bonus overpowered damage, you could technically temper Grizzly Rage duration, but I get the duration to be the same pretty much as the cooldown, and you extend the duration by overpowering anyways. It's already set. Why would I temper even more duration if it's permanently up? We're also playing the Herodic Jewel for 20% more elemental damage and take 10% more damage. That 20% more elemental damage would be the earth damage of the Pulverize, but it would also be the poison damage. So it should be double dipping in this case. On our ring, it's the Rampaging Werebeast. Duration of Grizzly Rage is increased, nice. In addition, critical strikes while Grizzly Rage is active increase your critical strike damage by 5% for the duration up to a maximum of 100%. Now it's set during the duration, and I always have it active. Even if it's about to end, I'll activate it again. So you permanently get that 100% bonus damage. Looking for attack speed, then resistance to all elements and willpower. On the other ring, it's a bit different because here we're looking for critical strike chance and attack speed, together with the Grizzly Rage cooldown reduction and the overpower damage. And Pulverize creates an aftershock for 120% bonus damage. We do also have mythic options that I do want to show you. But first, there is the Idol from Below for the 6% core scat and 6% more maximum life. And lastly, Herodic Jewel of Power. While we have 2 or more Arcana from the School of Power equipped, you get 15% bonus crit chance. That's really nice because we want our crit chance to be as high as possible, plus the 25% from runes. I kind of like that. Without the mythic items, you can deal up to 10-15 billion damage. But as soon as you put the Air of Perdition and also the Ring of Starless Skies on, your damage just skyrockets even further. And the reason for that is simple. The Air of Perdition gives you 3 to core skills. Now, my Grizzly Rage is already a 360% bonus. If I put on Air of Perdition over Vasili's Prayer, I lose a lot of defense, yes. But I do actually gain a huge bonus percentage of damage, plus the 60% from the Air of Perdition and the bonus critical strike chance. This just almost puts me at 100%. Then, with the Ring of Starless Skies, we get another 3 to core skills instead of the Pulverize aspect, which means we have to be closer to our enemies, but we also get another 50% damage multiplier. Now my Pulverize, instead of being at 360%, is at 450%, and that's without the greater affixes to the core skills. That would even take it further. It also just brings my critical strike chance up to 91.7%. These 2 items instantly allow you to do 30-50 billion of damage. And if I would now masterwork these perfectly with the core skill bonuses, if I get the greater affixes to the core skills, we're looking at over hundreds of billions of damage easily. That being said, I cleared Pit 85 with the Vasili's Prayer and the Shockwave aspect. I didn't need these 2 to clear Pit 85. But if I want to go further now, that's the moment where you actually do want to acquire the mythics. For our spirit boons, we also have the bonus critical strike chance and lucky hit chance together with more critical strike damage. Then we extend the duration of our ultimate, and also every 6th casted skill will cause your next earth skill to overpower. Well, Pulverize is an earth skill, so we just spam away and get the overpower from here, together with the overpower from the Raging Pulverize, and also the overpower from the Provocation. Many sources of overpower feels very good. And then let's not forget that the puddles themselves always overpower. So we actually do want to overpower to create the biggest overpowered puddle that then overpowers overpower. Thank you. Right now, I do have to use Rahir with the bonus resistance to all elements and then the 15% bonus damage. If I actually turn into my bear form, we're sitting at enough armor. Even with these 2 items, we're sitting at almost enough armor. And our resistances are somewhat resistancing. We can't really get it much higher. It's good enough. And for this, we get to tightly squeeze everything out of the Paragon board. First, you get the Fang and Claw for more bonus to the magic nodes, and then while in werewolf or werebear form, we'll do more damage to close enemies, and we always try to stay close to our enemies. while we take here the maximum life we can to at least get like 10-12,000 life. Ancestral Guidance gives us more damage as we spend 75 spirit. We really spend 75 spirit extremely fast. And we need to take all the resistance to elements that we can find. While we activate here the Dominate glyph with currently 44 int, but I got another bonus ints I can actually take here to boost it even further. Like way more int to boost it even further. This brings us into the Earthen Devastation, where you get more damage with your damage versus crowd control bonus, and that up to 60%. Easy. Then damage reduction and resistance to all elements, and up here even more resistance to all elements and maximum life that we can take even more. Together with the Earth and Sky glyph, for nature magic deals 10% increased damage to crowd controlled or vulnerable enemies. Always make enemies vulnerable with our Arcana. I'll show you in a jiffy. There we have the Survival Instinct board. While in werebear form, you deal 30% increased damage or 45% when you're at full life. Very good. We love it. Together with the Outmatch glyph boosting the rare nodes for more life and more damage while in werebear form, we also get another damage reduction while fortified. You could technically take the damage to healthy enemies with a maximum life. It's not that useful. I'd rather go over here to take the maximum life in the total armor, because the total armor does actually help to get us to our total armor values. Lastly, the Heightened Malice board with increased damage. As poison enemies are around us, we always poison. We get maximum poison resistance, then damage reduction from poison enemies. Works very well. And the Spirit glyph with all the dexterity we can get. There's 1, 2, 3 more dexterity missing for even bigger bonus damage. Why are we not taking that much maximum life anymore? Because maximum life doesn't actually scale overpower. So we do rely on these overpowered tempers to actually get even more overpowered damage. Sitting at 5 and 1000% here right now. Actually, if I activate Grisly Rage and I start critting, yeah, that critical strike damage bonus should go upwards by 100% because that's what Grisly Rage does. So yeah, we need those bonuses as high as possible to really slay out. First the Arcana, then the runes. We have a reactive ooze for that bonus resource generation. Also, we infuse our disintegrate with poison with the corrosive vapors because we do more poison damage even when our enemies always poison to do more damage to poison enemies. Then we have Sapping Krugs to have our enemies be vulnerable. Otherwise, you would have to run it on a ring, get the lucky hit chance to make enemies vulnerable. And lastly, I needed a second power Arcana, so I took Floaty Bubble, which makes me unhindered, so I can just walk through everything. And I could technically blink with my Disintegrate. Now the Floaty Bubble ain't needed. You could also just take more movement speed with Shifting Powder, or we could increase the size of our Catalyst effect. For our runes, on the chest, we get cast a non-channeled core skill for our critical strike bonus damage. That one would be not needed if you do actually have Air of Perdition and Ring of Starless Skies, but I don't assume most of you have that. Then on our weapon, we would have Neo Quox. We avoid health damage while fighting for 2 seconds. Then we get 400 offering, and that activates Quox for 100% bonus damage, depleting our spirit. That then instantly regenerates. The problem with Neo is I do take damage in between, even though I crowd control everyone really nicely. The rune I actually would like to play is Nagu. Nagu says maintain at least 1 active summon for 5 seconds, getting offering for each up to 6 summons. And with the 3 ravens, that would be 300 offering. So every 10 seconds, I would get 600 offering. It works quite nicely to consistently trigger Quox without really having to pay attention to it. And the 200 offering we're getting too much. That will allow Quox to deal more damage. If you have an idea for a better rune combo, write that in the comments below. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Do I have your attention? Is Pulverize Druid something amazing? The level build is also linked in the description below, as is the actual full endgame Pulverize build with the perfect Paragon board passing. Thank you for watching, hopefully enjoying. Here's the level speed run and also some tips for more loot in Season 9. Enjoy!